and justice for all.
I need a motion to declare an open meeting. So moved. Okay, second. Second. Clerk, open meeting, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Notification of Open Meetings Act, is that up in the back?
Yep, it's right there.
Yeah, right there on the door. Roll call, Chance, yep, Mike, here, Son, yes, Wyatt,
Yep.
Deb,
Yes.
Melissa.
Yep.
You didn't bring your signs, huh? Okay, number 6, we need a motion to approve the agenda. If we have any changes.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as stated.
Okay, second. Second to approve the agenda, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Move on to number 7, the consent agenda. Starting with the minutes. Minutes look okay, we go to financials.
Claims are low this month, which is nice, but that's because we can get our ESUs out in time to submit this month, so claims will jump next month by about 40,000.
Plus, we also transferred 40,000 from the general fund to the lunch fund. As you noticed at the beginning of the year, we probably started out with like $57,000 in the lunch fund, and we're down to 60. So I wanted, we got our own big budgeted for the grant and that's right.
Good, we can go on to the claims then.
The concrete repair, is that for the seats, benches?
It's
That-
for that and also for some repairs out front as well.
Between the new garage and the wood shop, all that was tore out to ruin.
This is still for that.
Yeah, that's for that as well. Some of this, about 20% of this will be reimbursed.
That's your 40,000 on the back page.
Any questions on those? No, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
A second? Second. Second to approve the consent agenda, favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Move on to number 8, student presentation.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Good.
I'm Reagan Shope.
I'm ready for it.
And we're here to let you guys know about the launch entrepreneurship project that we're doing at the FFA. I guess without further ado, we'll get right into it. So the launch program is ran by the UNL Angler program, which is The Angler program is set up by donor Paul Engler in order to promote entrepreneurship in students across Nebraska and specifically in the college. But then they have a number of different smaller programs such as Launch. And Launch was put together to help high school students start businesses in their schools just to promote that same mindset of entrepreneurship. Last spring when we started looking at potentially putting in this food processing lab, Mr. Clement stumbled across the Launch program. I was already aware of the Angler program because that's what my minor is going to be when I go down to UNL. So we thought it'd be a cool idea to apply. We got accepted into the program, and so this program allows us to develop the leaders and the students through different workshops. It also has a grant funding aspect where you compete for grant money through presentations and business pitches. And it also allows us to develop our students and leaders on a more micro level through both our board members and things like that. So we have 10 students who are directly involved in the Launch program. We're going to the different conventions and stuff, competitions, and development events, including Kenzie, Danny, and a handful of other underclassmen. Me and Ronnie are the only upperclassmen involved, and I think Corbin will step in next year once we graduate. We also have a board to help direct the program as we go. The board is made up of Mr. Clement, Mr. Schmidt, me and Ronnie, and then 4 other community members, Nick Schroth, Corinne Janovic, Toby King, and Mission support. So the board is just responsible for making sure that we follow all of the right rules, make sure we're developing the business properly, and then we have Mr. Schmidt on there to help make sure that we're following school rules and school policy so we don't get any trouble there. And then Mr. Clement, obviously, he's, all the responsibility falls back on Mr. Clement ultimately, so he needs to have a say in the process. And then me and Ronnie decided Ronnie and I, decided to take a seat on the board, as just with our senior year, we don't have time to be as hands-on, but we still care and want to take part in the decision-making processes and make sure everything runs smoothly. And then we have a CEO, COO, and CMO to make sure that the day-to-day operations go well, and Kenzie will talk about that in a little bit. And then the story behind it all. So this all came to be when last spring, me and Mr. Clement were talking, Clement and I, wow, struggling with grammar today. It came to be as we were talking about the farmers market that we do in the summer, and we were really wanting to amp up production and things like that. And we knew that we'd have a lot of extra produce then when it came to the summer. And so we knew we had to come up with something. What we had discussed just donating all of it to the food pantry. That meant driving to Norfolk every Wednesday after farmers market when we've already put in a 10-hour day or whatever. So that wasn't the best option. And then we thought about processing it because we had already gone through and processed some, dehydrated it down, and that was kind of fun. So we came up with the idea of maybe getting a second dehydrator and getting some different, some really nice knives and some different equipment to process it smoother so it's a lot easier. And then I had the kind of crazy idea of getting a freeze dryer because I thought they were always pretty fascinating, and eventually I was able to convince Clement to do it if we could get the grants through, because obviously this was expensive and we didn't want to pay for it. So then Mr. Clement wrote a ton of grants over the summer, stumbled across the Launch program, and we didn't expect to get all of them, but we ended up getting $27,000 worth of grants roughly. So way more than we expected. We had initially thought maybe if we got $5 grand, we could really do something cool. But we got 27, so we were able to completely gut if you know about the ag shop and how it's set up, there was an old office that was just full of junk. So we gutted it, tore down all the shelves, painted the walls, and got in nice stainless steel tables, and then freeze dryer, the largest one. So that was like $6 grand, and a lot of other stuff, which I'll talk about later on a different slide.
So the funding and purchases for this, like Reagan said, Clement wrote 3 grants this summer. The Aurora Cooperative one, the Farm Credit Services, and the Carbon Solutions. The Aurora one was a match one, so it was whatever they put in, we'd match with our own. And then Farm Credit was our big one that gave us majority of the money for our program. And then Carbon Solutions was another one that we applied. We applied for all of them, received all of them, and then we got to go into what we needed for our food lab. So Reagan and I, we researched and we looked at all the things that we need in order to do everything. So that took a while. We got all the stuff we needed, all the things we needed, and then we got started.
Yeah, there were a couple smaller grants like the Chamber of Commerce gave us, I think it's like a $500 grant, and there were some smaller ones that patched in there to get that total. And we made a big wish list, and we were able to buy everything on the list.
So when you're matching one, did the local community match that, or how'd you go with that?
So there's the $5,000 matching, and then there's just a $5,000 one, and I think that's how we paired it together. Is that right?
We matched it with the grants.
With other grants, yeah.
Okay.
So it was all grant money. Nothing has came out of the FFA account. This is its own entity that's just being ran kind of as a subdivision of the FFA. All the money's coming through the school, but it's self-sustaining.
So fruit sales, every year we do a big thing for the FFA, and everyone knows of it because it's a really big deal. We wanted to have a different product in our sheets instead of like jellies and jams because those get really expensive for us, and we just end up not making enough off of them. So we wanted to get a different product out, and we had an idea to do candy. So we put, I think it was 4 or 5 different candies on our sheets that we would freeze dry, and then they'd sell. Well, that went over really well, and we sold quite a bit of product for that. And then the fruit aspect of it, Commit ordered a few extra boxes for us so that we could experiment in the freeze dryer. After we got all the candies and stuff finished, we decided to start on the fruit aspect of it, and that went over really well. We did all the apples, we've done strawberries. That was a different thing we went through, but we did like pears and pineapple. We even experimented with oranges and grapefruit. That was definitely a weird one. Yeah. And then we just started freeze drying it, and it became, we liked it a lot, so we decided we'd start doing candy more, because that was more of like a top thing for everyone. They wanted candy, not really fruit. But we still do fruit. We just finished strawberries. There.
Yeah. So we'll start as purchasing this to process fruits and vegetables. It's kind of turned into candy stuff, but what are you gonna do? People want.
Okay, so with the concession stand, we wanted to be able to get our products out into a larger variety of the public, more than just the free sales. So we started setting up a stand on our own at most home winter sport events this past season, and that included having those involved with the whole program, running it and making sure that the products are there, being able to get out to the public more. Being able to do this allowed us to get a more larger variety of our products out to the public as well, more than just the handful we did with the fruit sales. And it gets more of the business experience for the students involved with this whole program, being able to see what it's like with the production and turning it over to the selling point. Some of the things we sell are fruits, vegetables, candies, and some miscellaneous things like ice cream and cookie dough. We've also, some of our top favorites and sellers are Nerds clusters and Skittles. Apples and strawberries are pretty good too. And then on some of our fruits, like the apples and strawberries, we've done citric acid, sugar, and like brown sugar and cinnamon. Or not brown sugar, cinnamon sugar, sorry. But we continue to keep experimenting with different things, and we've like very much so have expanded the palette of things that we are trying to figure out what works best. And some of our newest experiments are the strawberries with sugar and citric acid, and then also marshmallow fluff with different candies put in them.
Do we have stuff for you to try?
Yes, we do.
Maybe you want to hand that out while they're, so they can try it while you're going through the rest of your presentation. Danny can maybe do that.
So, I mean, obviously with all this, there's some seasonal stuff. You know, we're not going to be doing zucchini in December because zucchini is December. So in the winter, it might be more candy. There's an ebb and flow to it, and when you're doing fresh produce, obviously there's it can go bad if you don't get to it. So it's a little harder than with candy, which is good for moms.
And then like the kids in 4th period, like Marquis Alvin, she's really become really interested in this, and she is coming up with so many good ideas for us to try. Like we tried the chamoy and tahini on apples and like pineapple and that stuff, and that's actually gone really well for people. Like they really like it.
The sweet spicy combination.
We're trying to find new ideas, creative things to get going for us to take on this out.
Yeah, you got a little variety pack there, fruit,
A little
vegetable,
bit
groups,
of
and
everything.
block candy. So that's what you wanted for lunch, right? You didn't want.
What's dried ice cream look like?
It's in
It's
there.
in there. There's,
Yeah, it's
we
in
have
there.
some chocolate, dried ice cream in there, and then
Root beer
a
float.
root beer float as well.
Freeze-dried ice cream is the same thing as the astronaut ice cream.
Yeah.
It is on there.
Pack. I see it
$4,
$3.
$5.
$4 or $5.
If there was a smaller bag, we have one like half the size, that would be like $2.53.
I don't know the price on it.
So there's a little bit of everything in that bag.
Oh, okay, sure.
That'd be more.
Saltwater taffy, Laffy Taffy.
Where was this at when I was in school?
So
So are you able to tie your growing towers or growing?
Yeah, so not so much the hydroponic towers. I mean, that's definitely more lettuce production. We've definitely ran into some issues with those hydroponic towers lately. But, you know, I don't think freeze-dried lettuce would be a good seller. But, you know, like our plant sale, a lot of the plants we're growing this year will have freeze-dried products. You know, tomatoes and stuff. Come this fall, we'll.
Lettuce doesn't refrigerate, but the kale and spinach does do real well, so we're gonna probably try to grow a lot of that and run that through this year.
Yeah, as we're transitioning in different leadership in this process, it's, yeah, we're trying to get some things figured out so it's sustainable. It's not gonna die when this group of kids graduate, so.
So I'm Kenzie, I'm the CEO. I'm in charge of conducting the meetings, overall kind of leader of the whole group, and to make sure things stay in line. Danny, she's operations. She makes sure the day-to-day products get made and production stays on task, and make sure products keep coming through. And then Natalie is our marketing. She is in charge of posting on social media, graphic designs, t-shirt designs, which we're hoping to get anytime. Each of us have our own mentors. Mine is Nick, Danny is Kareem, and Natalie's is Toby Keene. And they are there to help us with any questions we may have and to help us with our leadership skills throughout the group and just help us with our overall leader. And
So like I
Yeah.
said earlier,
Yeah.
like with this launch program, we're trying to develop leaders
Yeah.
who develop leaders who develop leaders. So it starts with the board members. We chose board members who would do a good job with each individual position. So, I mean,
We picked them specifically for that, like those roles and like for those people, because we know, like Danny, she gets stuff done. Like she is our operations manager. So Kareen is very good with helping her like get going and like do all that stuff. And like Natalie with Toby, Toby's good at marketing and doing all that stuff. So that's why we paired her with Natalie. And Nick, he's kind of a boss. So we're trying. So we paired him up with Kenzie because those two make a really good pair with getting stuff done and helping each other.
so and then Mr. Smith's actually Ronnie and I's mentor. He didn't make the slide, I guess, but so we wanted to make sure that all the students are getting developed as we go. Didn't make the cut, so.
High school.
Oh, no. So, with that $27,000, that sounds like a lot. But really, I mean, when you buy things, it goes away really fast, actually. The KitchenAid mixer, we probably spent, it was probably about $1,000, maybe $1,500. I mean, it's been a while since I bought all these, so the numbers are off the top of my head. And just like slicers, cutters, you know, just each piece is about $100. So we have a lot that we can process vegetables and produce in a lot of unique ways, learn different processes there. We haven't really got to use them a whole lot. By the time we got all this stuff ordered, the growing season was over. So a lot of it we'll really be able to experiment with over the summer. The tables, the stainless steel tables, that's one of the big things I thought was necessary if we want this to be sustainable. A good, clean place that's easy to clean. They were plenty expensive, I think $3,000 maybe. And then a lot of just sealers to bag the produce so it stays good. You gotta keep the air out, otherwise moisture gets in and then your products ruined. So all said and done, you know, major expenses were like our freeze dryer, which was $6,000, I wanna say, $5,000. It would be $6,000, but we were able to get a discount as a school. things like that. And most of it would be impossible to get if we hadn't had those incredible grants and the generosity of all the grant givers.
We also got a lot of carts and like places, cabinets to store everything in.
The lock-up stuff so kids don't help themselves. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Got some pictures and then open it up for questions.
We have one other thing that didn't make your presentation, I just sent her to get. It's a surprise.
I know exactly what they are. Ooh. Actually?
Yeah.
Did they come?
Yeah, I just got the text as you guys were presenting. Nick Schroth and Wilbur Ellis are helping the kids out, sponsoring some t-shirts for them to wear when they're running stuff. We were hoping that they were gonna be today, but the board meeting was at noon and not at 6.
Oh, so they're like right here.
So when I told
We're seeing them as we're seeing them, I guess.
Cindy that we had a board meeting today, yeah, you'll have them there by Monday. I went, great. Then dawned on me that the board meeting was at
Noon, not
noon, not 6, and the truck comes afternoon usually. So just hold one up. You're not gonna put it on. Just hold one up. So this is what they came up with.
This is what Natalie
helped design a lot of this, and
So just something simple, but something identifiable. Yeah. It's
And then-
it's definitely a learning curve for Natalie, trying to figure out how to use the different programs. But she'll get to know how to do it, so.
You gonna wear those Thursday?
yes. Well, we're gonna wear at least one of them Thursday.
So
Yeah.
Some of them will be an official
Share what
dress.
you're doing Thursday.
On Thursday, we are going to Kearney for an administrative meeting to present this as well. To, yeah.
Get our word out.
Statewide conference in
Yes.
Kearney. They presented last year on the hydroponic lettuce towers, and they're presenting this year on their freeze-dried business through the launch program.
I don't have any questions, but this is very impressive. You guys have, I mean, wow.
It's quite the process.
It's quite the process,
Lot
but
of
it's
hours.
honestly
I'm
a lot
just
of
really
fun.
proud of you.
Being able to explore something
Young
none of us have really
entrepreneurs that-
done.
Yeah.
What do you think will happen if you put this in the freezer?
Pretty much.
I know, that's what we
That's a
do
lot
all
of
the
it.
time.
That's been said many times.
You do that
Some
every
some
time you
things
eat
are not
something?
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Well, that's
even,
part of
like,
the scientific experience.
That's-
like we're
It's
still
like,
doing
oh,
stuff like with
nuts.
ice cream and we're like have like Nerds clusters inside of it or like all sorts of different combinations.
Well, this is impressive.
A lot of sugar goes to the ag shop.
Very much so.
Gotta be careful. It's
Yeah.
really easy to eat too much, but.
Well, that's cool. It is healthier. Would it be healthier once it's freeze-dried? You take a
No.
Skittle.
No.
But
Let's
I will tell you, even with the blood sugar monitor that I wear, I have never had my blood sugar spike because of the candy, freeze-dried candy, because the flavors are so much more intense. I wouldn't sit and eat a whole bag of Skittles, freeze-dried. Eat 3 or 4 and I'm done. It's like, okay, I've had my sugar and my candy, I'm good. But it's no different than eating 3 or 4 Skittles. How many of you would just eat 3 or 4 Skittles? Nobody. You open the bag, you eat the whole thing. So from that aspect, I wouldn't call it necessarily healthier, but
Maybe
you don't
limits.
tend to maybe eat as much, as fast,
So where's your marketing plan going from here? Are you gonna online stuff, or are you just gonna do what you're doing now?
Oh
or-
boy. We are thinking about going online. We have talked about it. Probably not this year. We kind of want to keep
Right, get a plan.
setting up our foundation right now. But I'm hoping in the next 2 years you guys will be online.
But then again, if you just, it's not like they're struggling to keep up with their production selling at concession stands. I mean, it's not like we're sitting on extra product that can't get sold. So, you maybe wouldn't even need to.
The problem with online is the certifications. So I'm working on that side for them to help them out. I'm gonna be working with the University of Nebraska to get our cottage law certification. To be able to truly sell online to where you could ship to other states, now you're talking about having a commercial kitchen license, and I'm not doing that. I
Well, I
know
mean,
what
you'd have
that
to-
takes, and I don't want anything to do with that, sorry.
Can we do like beef and?
No.
We're avoiding, we can do meat in the freezer. To sell meat, you have to be a commercial kitchen.
Okay.
And there's no cottage law out there that will allow you to do processed meat that way. I'm curious about the ice cream. I've got, there's different states all have different laws, and I've got to look into Nebraska's and see if we can do the freeze-dried ice cream at the, I'm not worried about doing it at like at our school event, but if we stick it on, you start putting it on Facebook, putting it online. The other thing you have to watch out for is if we put it online, you really have to watch out on your labels and your copyrights. The whole parent company for Skittles, which is everybody's favorite, is really cracking down on the home freeze dryer that's saying these are freeze-dried Skittles. Well, they're saying that's a copyright infringement, and they start sending cease and desist letters out. And that's the last thing I want the kids to get. And so you have to rename it, and that's marketing. Those are all good things, but they're things that they have to navigate.
That's just another level of complexity. So
We're going
out
too
of
long.
time, yeah. So yeah, unless there's any other questions, turn it back over to you guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
If you guys have something you want to try, let me know. We can.
Right. How's the jerky out of the air dryer? Yeah, I'm sure you've tried it.
Jerky out of the freeze dryer?
Yeah.
I've not done jerky in the freeze dryer. I've not put any meat in the freeze dryer yet. It's gonna come out different than jerky. It's not gonna taste like jerky.
No, it's not.
No.
I'd ruin it.
I would, it would probably ruin it. You have to, because when you do meat, you're typically gonna freeze dry it, store it, and then you're gonna rehydrate it. So to get the texture jerky, you really wanna use it dehydrated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bandits to Tom.
Okay.
Okay.
Addie? Yeah, that's the marshmallow. The marshmallow balloons. Okay, so Diana's soon coming in. She may look very, very familiar to you. So currently, what we're looking at right now is we're looking at getting some new band uniforms. A little bit of background on it. This is what we have. A little trivia for you. Does anybody know where we purchased these from?
These are the old ones, the current.
These are the current uniforms.
Yes.
School or business?
School.
You purchased them from a school?
We did.
Customers.
Now for Catholic? Here's your other hint. They are not a single school anymore. They have been consolidated.
Oh.
Okay, it's not Albion. These are from Stromsburg. They are currently cross-county. So at the beginning, if you're ever wondering what that check mark is, it's a V for the Vikings. So what we're looking at right now is a lot of our uniforms are in very, very poor condition. I've only got about 6 of these. The green is they're in okay condition, they're usable. They can make it by. Yellow is they are in okay condition, or poor condition, and then red is very poor to unusable. Take a moment to look at that. The first page is actually the uniforms, so front and back is the uniforms. The second page is the hats that we currently have, which are also in not so great condition. So when we purchased these from Stromsburg, this was back in 2002, and when we got these were actually 10 years old already. They were in good condition. When talking to the band director at the time, they were in okay condition, they were good, they were able to use them for a while. To now, if they were 10 years in 2002, these would make these uniforms 32 years old. Worn by many generations of a pirate, and it's come to a point to where, yeah, and a Viking at one point, and it's come to a point to, well, these aren't holding up anymore, and we need to start looking at something, because the group, of course, is very visible. In the fall, we go out, we do marching contests, we do 4, we're looking at doing another one next year, adding it on. And then down the road, hopefully getting back into doing some field marching and taking it out onto the field. So we would be doing field competitions down that way too. The things that I want to point out is the uniforms are falling apart. So Addie, her pair of pants no longer stays together. And her pair of pants is not the only pair of pants that doesn't stay together. I have another pair of pants out there. Addie, if you would go get the rest of the crew. There's more pairs of pants that where the one we have is the strap up here is totally disconnected. It's no longer hanging on. Our bags
had this brown liquid at the bottom of it that we cannot seem to get out. Our plumes are falling apart. You can grab a plume out of its casing and the feathers are gone. Hats, these little things right here, totally coming off. So some of them that have been fixed have super glue stains all over the hats. Let's see here, did I miss anything on what's wrong with some of our pants? Yeah, here's the pair of pants that is being held with a safety pin. And then we have many others. If you look at the paper, there are some down at the bottom where the hem is. It's ripped and it's stained and it's visible, which is the tough part. To the right of Addie is what we're looking at. So we sent out an email to Fruhoff. I know a former band director guy who's a representative. We're like, hey, down the road, we want to start looking at get something new, because right now what we have is not great to the eye and seeing, and it's not ours. It doesn't have anything on it that says Plainview. The only thing that identifies us is the colors. What I want to point out on the new one is there's a pirate here up on the chest. At the side, it says Plainview High Band. At the back, it says the Pirates. Emma, you want to tell us a little bit how that makes you feel? Good. Anybody? Anybody?
Expand.
So,
Anybody?
I was just going to point out there's a P on the hat.
Oh.
Yep, there's a P under the wrap for the hat. This style is definitely more contemporary. We're seeing a lot of schools from around here that are upgrading, going to a style like this. It's super sharp, it's visible. So that's what we're looking at. I want to pass this out. The reason why we're pushing it so early is 1986 was the last time that the school bought uniforms for themselves. That is the last time Plainview had anything on it that said that we are the Pirates, this is who we are. Down at the bottom, I want to make note to you as this paper is coming around what number of projections are for the next year. Couple of years. Right now we have 20 members in the marching band. Next year, I am projecting 30 members in the marching band. In 2 years here, I am projecting around 44 members in the marching band. With the condition of the uniforms that we have now, they will not withstand the members here in the next couple of years. They will not withstand. And then the next big question is we are looking to get support from you as the board and getting support in purchasing these from the school. The next question is how much are these going to cost? This is the quote that Fruhoff sent to me and what we're looking at for pricing. Now what this includes is the full uniform, comes with the plume, but the next cool thing is it comes with hat boxes so we can maintain the quality and keeping those nice so that we don't have hats like this falling apart as it's being traveled or carried around on our bags. It comes with a plume carrying case so our plumes aren't falling apart anymore. Comes with new bags so that our bags that we have now are not staining the new ones. Let's see here, and I believe that's all that's on there, but it comes with everything that you see here, bags, hat cases, and a plume tote.
And how many are you looking at buying?
50.
yeah, obviously this will be part of our budget committee discussion and our budget retreat this summer. So for, as we discussed, next budget cycle. And I had visited with Ms. Folsis about a potential 2-year, purchase, get, 25 and 25 potentially or whatever, with her projections, and flexibility of the company, on spreading that out over 2 years, that just, complicates things a little bit. I think it's without question a priority item.
I mean, when the uniform came in, it was very exciting for the kids. I think I got a lot of, Ms. Folsis, when is it going to be here? Is it here yet? And this was about a week after I placed the order. I'm getting the same uniform in, so the excitement was definitely there. And there were more that would like to be here, but I'm like, let's hold off. We don't want to bombard. So
how do you clean these? Do you have to have dry cleaned? Or
we would have to get them dry cleaned.
do you ever do that? I mean, once a year or
Yep.
once every 5 years?
Yep, it'd be about every 2 or 3 years that we could get them dry cleaned.
shoes come with it too?
Shoes, the school has shoes right now that we would continue to use. Those are in okay condition.
Better socks and jackets.
So these would probably last twice as long as what the
Yes.
first ones we bought in '86 then.
Yep, they would definitely withstand. The fabric that they use is a Dexcom blend, so it's comfortable, it's breathable, and it's able to withstand hot, cold.
Not as hot as.
Yep. I mean, comfort-wise, I had another student who was gonna be here, but he couldn't be here today. He was really forward with, these are super comfortable. Compared to our uniforms that we have now, they're super comfortable. Would you agree, Emma? So there's a lot of them where in the shoulder up here, there are pieces coming apart, and sometimes the students are getting poked by that. And then others that are like the percussionists where they're having to wear harnessed, things are stabbing, and they're uncomfortable as they're going down the street. And of course, they're not the only ones that have mentioned it to me as well, but other instrumentalists as well, or the other band members as well.
How much life would you expect to get out of it when you purchase them? 10 years? Is that possible, 10 years, is it?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, I would expect at least that. If I were to guess how long these will last, if we take good care of them, we get them dry cleaned when they're supposed to, when they're being maintained, I would say anywhere from 20 to 30 years we can get out of life for them. If more, if they're really taken care of. Any other questions?
Do they feel like taller?
Yes, Jake.
I was just gonna point out, I don't know if you already have, they are way easier to like tie your shoes. Because my uniform, I'm just gonna say this, I was not able to tie my shoes without like
Busting your
really
button.
trying, yeah. I love it.
If you drop a stick, you gotta grab it.
Yeah, it's not.
You're having a hard time now, wait till you're 35.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good life out of those old ones, so.
Yes, yep, they withstand the test of time. They have. They were definitely one that the kids were like, well, if we're gonna get new uniforms, we wanna look at getting something similar. As they did, they liked the design. The flag was something they're like, please, we gotta keep the flag. So Addie, if you turn around, there's a shoulder flag at the back. And I was like, okay, well, we'll see what we can do. And so I sent a message to Rex and he added the pirates at the back for us. So you can see us going wherever we are.
It's sharp, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for hearing us out, and hopefully we can see some new gear for the Pirates,
Do
right?
the runway walk, girls.
Wearing the rest of the day.
Oh, yeah, Emma, you don't wear that the rest of the day?
Not so much.
I like the black gloves. 'cause it's quick.
Yeah.
Those
Okie
are-
dokie.
that's sharp.
It should be warm when you go out cold.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, thank you for listening to us, and
Thank you.
have a great day.
Good
job.
All right, well, we'll move on into number 9, public comment. Is there anybody who wants to speak today? If not, we'll move on to number 10, and that would be regarding esports.
Hi guys. Good morning, board members, administration, and community members. My name is Melissa Jackett, and I am a proud Pirate parent and staff member here in our elementary building. And I'm excited to be speaking to you today about implementing an esports team in our high school building starting next year. Esports in Nebraska began in 2017 by educators at Amherst, Elm Creek, and Broken Bow. What started out as 3 schools sharing a common interest in holding local tournaments became the nonprofit organization, Nebraska Schools Esports Association. In 2019, it has grown to include 88 schools around the state, with new schools joining each year. It is the goal of the Nebraska School Esports Association to support safe and competitive environments for Nebraska school students while promoting team building, communication, and critical thinking through esports programs. These programs will provide an opportunity for more students to feel connected to school, as well as provide future opportunities in the field of technology and esports. Like I previously stated, there are 88 schools that are currently participating in the NSESA. In Northeast Nebraska, there are 5 schools that have active programs. These schools include South Sioux City, Elkhorn Valley, Pender, Wayne, and Stanton. Across the state, school districts of similar sizes to Plainview that have successful esports programs include Amherst, Elm Creek, SEM, Overton, Luke City, and Eustis Farnham. Since all matches take place online, teams are placed into conferences with other schools of similar size to compete against during the regular season. So we could see us competing with some of those schools from down south or kind of towards the Omaha area. To become a member of the NSESA, there is a membership fee of $100 a year. This membership fee gives teams access to compete in all regular season games, as well as the state tournaments that are held each season. The NSESA does not fall under the NSAA, so they are run like a club similar to FCCLA, FFA, or FBLA. This allows for all students grades 7-12 to be able to participate if they would like. There are 3 seasons during the year for esports: fall, winter, and spring. The games that are played by the clubs change with the seasons, and year to year, many of these games stay the same, especially those played on PCs. Games may change occasionally based on demand or interest. Each season has a state tournament that's held in person. This year, the fall state tournament was held at Wayne State College in November. And at state, teams earn medals, and your state champions and runners-up bring home trophies. Under further looking, York and Concordia are the other 2 sites for the different seasons for state. Some of the games that are played are Valorant, Smash Ultimate. You see Mario Kart 8 in the winter. For spring, they have Fortnite, League of Legends, and Rocket League are some of the most popular ones. Aside from state tournaments that take place in person, all competitions and matches are held on school property. It is required by the NSESA that teams practice and play together in a physical location that is provided by the school. Teams are also required to have an adult to sponsor coach the team. This person can either be a teacher or staff member or school-approved adult. The adult sponsor will need to be involved with coaching the team at practices and during the matches, as well as a member on Discord in order to communicate with other coaches. The coach is also responsible for enforcing the NSESA's Code of Conduct, which states, "It is the goal of the NSESA to support safe and competitive environments and provide an opportunity for more students to feel connected to school. Students involved with the NSESA are expected to have the aligned values of integrity, respect, courage, and compassion. The Code of Conduct will provide guidance on what is expected to promote and foster these values to improve the experiences of all students competing in the NSESA." Many schools have chosen to compete and practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That way they're able to get it on the calendar right away at the beginning of the school year, and those students that are choosing to participate already have that blocked off on their calendar. And that also makes it flexible for those who are wanting to also participate in football, basketball, your other extracurricular activities. The equipment needed to compete in the matches are desktop PCs and gaming consoles that could include Nintendo Switches, Xboxes, or PlayStations. When discussing equipment with a member of the NSESA board, I was informed that our Mac desktops in our elementary computer lab would get us started, but as the program grows, it would be good to start looking into buying some lower end gaming PCs. After talking to Tom, this was back in November, the purchase of 5 gaming PCs would be right around $4,000. The future of esports, not only in the state of Nebraska, but across the country is bright, not only at the high school level, but also collegiately. The esports programs in the Big Ten Conference have collaborated to create the Big Ten Esports Conference. This new conference includes 16 members and kicked off its esports tournaments this year. Many Nebraska colleges also have scholarship opportunities for students to attend and join their esports teams. Currently, Western Nebraska Community College, Doane, Concordia, UNL, UNK, and many other private colleges offer scholarships. And a fun fact for you is Amon Green is currently UNL's esports head coach. Here at Plainview Public Schools, we say that we are preparing innovative, resilient, and accountable thinkers for an empowering future. The addition of an esports program to our high school building will help students become innovative when they need to find a new way to solve a problem in their matches, become resilient when they learn how to lose gracefully and bounce back stronger for the next match, and be held accountable for the choices made during gameplay. These skills gained and enhanced through esports will empower the students to use the technology skills learned to pursue jobs within the field in the future. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. My vision is for our kids to have a place that they can feel safe in, heard, and connected to other students, not just in our building, but with students across the state. So, any questions?
Is this an after-school type activity?
This would be after school, yeah, we'd have like practice in the evenings, yep, and then matches would happen in the evenings as well.
Do we have currently somebody that would know how to coach this?
I was
You would
kind
do
of,
it?
yep, I was
Oh,
kind of
okay.
running it, yep.
Have you been involved in it before?
I have not been involved with esports, but when I started talking to everybody, it's a lot of people I know that I went to college with. I've had a lot of connections with. I'm pretty technology savvy myself, so I kind of understand how all of it works.
So would any of our computers, like staff computers, be good enough that when they get replaced, they could be used for this, or is that a special computer?
It would have to be, yeah, because it would have to be like a desktop.
It's
It's
about
like-
processing.
Yeah, it's like,
Oh,
yeah,
it's a
yeah, it
desktop.
has it. So yeah, so like they said, I talked to Josh Hughes, he's one of the founders, he's out at Amherst right now, he's the band director out there actually. And he said our max would get us started, but yeah, down the road purchasing like lower end PCs. But we were talking about looking into some grants. I know working a few concession stands and stuff, it would be hard to come up with that money. As for like our Nintendo Switches and stuff, kids can bring those from home. Right, we have access to those from somebody to bring them in for those days and everything, until we can kind of build up that account.
You probably prefer to play from PC, don't you? There's not the preferred
They say, yeah, they
app.
say PCs are preferred, yeah.
Yeah, some with ample screen,
Mhm.
anyway, you know, almost like a war room was actually the preferred.
Yeah,
way,
kind of, yeah.
You know, yeah.
Play in the gym with a swivel?
Would this be junior high and up, or?
Junior high and up, yep, 7 through 12.
Yeah, kids would be interested.
Right now, we have over 20 in the high school, and I talked to our upcoming 7th graders, and there's a good chunk of, I think almost half that class is interested in it right now too.
What's the minimum to have a team?
So each game is different. So like in the fall, I know like some of them are like 5-on-5. So you would have a team of 5 and then like 2 subs.
So can all, if you have 20 or 30 kids in it, do they all get a play? Do they have like JV?
Yeah, you have your JV, and I have a feeling that we might have 20 to 30 kids interested, but they're not all gonna play the same season. Does that make sense? So like maybe they're like, oh, in the fall, I don't like any of these games, but ooh, winter is gonna be my season. Like they're able to be flexible. They can, or like, let's say, oh, I'm playing in the fall, but winter I'm gonna focus on wrestling, or I wanna focus on basketball. I'm gonna sit this season out. So they're able to kind of come and go. And I think, especially this first year, it's just gonna be a lot of kind of growing, like going, kind of just trying it out and seeing what works, what doesn't, how can we make things better.
So esports is growing pretty rapidly.
Very
in
fast,
the
yes.
state of Nebraska, and it's not very old, but obviously it kind of, the genesis of it was to build the students who maybe don't appeal to the traditional NSAA activities, and gives them a sponsored and safe environment, as Mrs. Jackett said, for them to do what they're doing at home in their basement or their bedroom. It brings them together to collectively enjoy something that they all participate in. And the school then has obviously a lot of authority over which games are played and the types of competitions that they might otherwise choose different avenues. And so when Melissa brought this to us last fall, Mr. Schmidt and I, talked to some other schools that have it, and what do? Startup costs and such, and they do a variety of different things, the startup costs can be very minimal if kids provide their own devices, but best case scenario is the school provides what the students need to compete and participate.
Yeah, I think it's just something to get some of these kids excited to be here right now, because some of these kids don't have the drive to want to be here. So giving them something like this, hopefully they'll want to come and see us and want to be here and want to participate, and just that connected feeling.
So they have to maintain their grades just like any other sports and stuff to be on the team?
I haven't seen anywhere, but if you would talk to Mrs. Hodson or Mr. Schmidt, I have pretty high expectations for any of the kids that I work with. So I would have, those expectations for the students in there as well, that they have to, if they're not coming to school, if they're not maintaining, then why should you get to come do the fun stuff, right? Yeah.
there can be, since it's not NSAA sanctioned, you know, you have more local control over, and you can do, essentially set up whatever eligibility guidelines you would have, whatever expectations you would have for kids to participate, whether it's, you know, academics or attendance.
That's something that I've been thinking about too, so.
So this would be something over the summer, you'd want to get everything set up, so you're ready to go in the fall.
Yeah.
You're ready to go for next year.
Yep, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, you certainly hear more about it now.
Yeah, it's really starting to take off. Definitely, you know, it's starting to come this way more. When I was looking into the schools, for sure, you know, down south, but that makes sense with like Elm Creek and Amherst and those schools being the ones that started it, that it's kind of growing down there. And then like your bigger schools like the Lincoln, Omaha area, it's really taken off too. But it'd be fun to be on the cutting edge up here.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Yes, thank you.
Letting us know about it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, move on into number 11, committee reports. And the Building and Grounds Committee meeting, so we're a little bit late getting here. We looked at a couple things. We were looking at possibly redoing bathrooms or trying to update the bathrooms in the junior high building. So we revisited that topic again, went up and looked at those. Dr. Earl said we had a bid come in for.
And it's not a hard bid, but it's just an estimate of 6 figures.
To redo everything.
To find out, to go ceiling to floor and subfloor into 100-year-old plumbing that you wouldn't know until we got into it. So, yeah, you know, potentially cost prohibitive. But what other options do you have, maybe to kind of make them functional, but yet not modern?
Yeah, there's, you know, the lighting's not great in the guys' bathroom. Walls in the girls' bathroom are kind of starting to peel away. There's no privacy in the guys' bathroom. There are some stalls in the girls. They're pretty short, not a lot of room to work with.
Sinks are,
They work, but they
not real well.
Some of the stools don't work.
Yeah, it would be nice to. 100,000. That's out of question. Yeah.
We kind of started
There
thinking
is
more.
a need to at least dress them up a little bit, make them a little more functional. At least I think so. Replacing the sinks would be a good one. Light in there. We talked about, you know, some partitions possibly for toilets. It's all stuff that I think needs to be looked at. Just a little bit of privacy.
Yeah, I think we could do it for quite a lot less. But
Yeah, I would think so.
At least make some effort to make it a little nicer for the kids. What else did we? We were talking about, you know, our long-term plans for the building. You know, like, do we want to sink that much money into something? We're not committed to that building long-term. We hope, we just don't know what our plans are, you know, 4 or 5 years down the road.
Stick 100,000 into it, you're gonna be stuck with the building for 30 years.
We think we're okay. There's a few structural issues up in that. Is it third floor? It's starting to sag. You saw that last year, Jim. On the other side, the other room's got a little bit of sag in it too, the one opposite of that. Just kind of moved down just a little bit. I guess Mike said they looked at it once years ago and said it's fixable.
Yeah, it is fixable. We just didn't think we needed the space at the time, and so we didn't spend money to fix it. We didn't think it was a concern as long as they weren't using it. But now another one has showed up since then too, so how far it's gonna go, I don't know.
It's kind of a long haul for the kids to, you know, get from the 3rd floor down to the bathrooms, you know, by the superintendent's office. So I'm sure some probably choose to go there just because of the condition they're in.
We talk about somewhere down the line too, we're gonna have an issue for handicap access. You know, those bathrooms, nor any classrooms either out there, are they? I mean, no
Or just going
ramps,
up the stairs,
no
isn't it?
lifts, there's all stairs.
Handicap, we'd have to either move classes downstairs or figure out a way to get them up there, so.
So it kind of snowballs when you just start talking about restrooms and then start looking at other things.
what
it
you need.
feasible? What, you know,
How
how
far-
far do you, where do you stop and where do you
Yeah.
start?
And what point do you have to meet code then? You know,
Right,
yeah, code.
electrical's out of question, you know, they're hardly adding additional electrical. Plumbing, it's all cast iron, right, copper oak.
Yeah.
So that's
100-year-old cast iron.
way old.
We wouldn't have to keep breaking any of that.
No,
replace
just
the
for some,
sinks
just to
or-
dress up some bathrooms, that's fine, but you know, we're talking.
The 100,000 was replacing pretty much all that though.
Yeah.
Fixing everything.
Nothing with the flooring, windows or anything like that. It could get pretty expensive. This is something we're gonna continue to talk about. Probably look at something, a way to do something, but not the full
Put Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
And I'd put that as one of our priorities that we need to do something with, you know, next project to do. It's been on the list a long time. We haven't done anything.
And then the other thing we talked about was, we met with, Laura from the city and talking about the city would like to pave Lincoln Street and, I guess we're not this way, whichever way we are, this way. Between the, between the football field, gate to gate. And they talked about, talking to Mr. Schmidt about doing some parking, paving it out a little further and putting diagonal parking in between the bleachers and the baseball field at the time. And that would all need to be engineered to start with, and then they try to get the drainage right. They would like to go all the way over to Manor. And then I think he said that parking would, there'd be a parking spot going all the way to the Manor. You guys hear that?
Well, I didn't hear that.
No, it's just to the end of
Just
the
to the
football
end.
field track.
It's just there.
I asked about if they'd have to widen, once you go east of the gate,
Yeah.
if they'd have to widen back towards the manor. It doesn't go all the way, it goes to Pine Street. but-
Oh, yeah.
And he said, yeah, so I took it as there would be parking east of the gate, east outside the gate, all the way back to at least Pine.
Past that little piece of ground.
That's kind of my thought.
Both sides of the street, parallel parking on both sides of the street.
He's more or less acting on some people from the community anyway that have asked why that hasn't been a priority to get paid. Has it been paving other streets? So he's asking.
We were asked about it 3 or 4 years ago.
I asked Mr. Holden 8
Yeah.
years ago.
Well, it's tough to put an actual dollar amount to it without kicking off the engineering. You know, we don't have to pay for the engineering costs, is what he said. The city covers that. But, rough number, he said $450 a linear foot is a high number that we put on it anyway as a possible cost. And as far as how much gets shared on that and not, we were kind of getting to that conversation maybe a little earlier. So, it's not cheap, not at all. And he was kind of hoping that, you know, the school would take on the majority of the cost, possibly, but we're still talking about that. And this doesn't have to be done either, right? He said that too.
Yeah.
He said that he's acting on, the community had asked why this hadn't been done. And so he's asking, he asked this 3 years ago, and the board shot it down right away, or he said 3 years ago, I don't remember the conversation.
We had other projects.
We had other expenses.
Own the street. I mean, that's not school property. Why
No,
would
but
we pay for it?
That's the way it is in town,
It's
though.
in town.
If
Paving
it
costs,
past like my house, I gotta pay for it.
at least half, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
half,
It's
it's
half
half or whatever.
Yeah, he said the homeowner would pay up to the middle of the street for their.
Yeah, and if you live on a corner like I do, you gotta pay the middle.
It's just the way it is, and so,
But what he wanted to know was, it's gonna cost the city close to $20,000 to have an engineer design, and then they'll have an estimate. And he wanted to know whether we were 100% no, or, you know, pretty much yes before. We wouldn't have to make a final decision until he saw the final estimate, but he doesn't want us to be saying, we're not gonna do this, and then, but yet, we wanna get into an estimate, you know. So that's what he's looking for right now, is just, are we interested seriously? And if we are, then they'll have an engineer. If we're not, then we drop. So,
He shared with me as we were talking back and forth, and very preliminary, you know, we'd be looking at potentially a $250,000 our share.
Cause they're doing some more with it, they're doing, what street was that, Pine Street or whatever?
Pine Street.
North and south, they wanna do that at the same time, which wouldn't be our cost.
And then east and west from Pine back towards the greenhouse.
Right, but which we'd have some of that too.
We would have one there, yeah.
Just a quarter of it.
We're trying to put a building development in just east of the football field, that little ground there. What did they say, 4 or 5? 5 houses?
Five homes.
In there. So they're talking about moving Derby in there to get it raised up, cause it's so low, and then planning all the drainage and everything around that whole project, and to get the water to drain.
All right, east.
So on their part, they're trying to do it all at one time, you know, one design, instead of doing this, and then 5 years down the road, we gotta try and figure out how to do this other part, tie it in.
Yeah, I feel like since I live in town, we do this, I kind of get it shafted both ways, because I pay taxes out on my farm ground that come to the school. I pay taxes to the city that are gonna pay for the city, you know what I mean? I'm really gonna say, I'm against it, I think it's.
Well, that was one of his comments,
Yeah.
why the city, he doesn't want the city to pay for any of this, even though they own some of the land.
Yeah.
He wants it to go on, actually wants it to go on everybody's taxes, the city and the rural. Where if the school does it, it goes on everybody's taxes. Where if the city does it, just, the city has to pay for their share of it. It just comes out of the city's taxes. So he wants to push it onto the school, so it gets everybody to help out with it, which is still same thing for you.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything we have to decide today.
No, it's not on the agenda to
But,
take a vote on.
it's just, wanted to make you aware of it, maybe start thinking about it.
And also, the longer you wait, the more it costs to do it.
Unless the economy completely goes.
They don't want to spend any money.
We can have the engineer, without the full $18,000 expense, he can have the engineer do a little more of a markup to provide a little more better information. Because they don't want to hire the engineer if the school's not interested, I mean, I think you can say we're interested, it'd be hard, and then they come in and do the engineer work and then say, no, thank you, that would irritate them understandably.
I think we need a little more information than just a small 5-minute conversation in your office.
Yeah.
Obviously, we need to know exact distances, we need to know, you know, exact square footage anyways. We can, he was talking about maybe put a wheel on it, you know, we're interested in, you know, proceeding with the conversation some more.
Yeah, the school property is just gate to gate and down at the ball field anyway. And so I know he was talking about, once you go east of the gate, still interested in the school paying for some of that. That would have to be obviously a conversation if you want to pay for anything outside of the gates with regard to Lincoln Street. So yeah, we had, you know, have to have further discussion, but it's good to.
Would we even
Bring
want
it
to
to the-
expand our committee and bring in some outside people? You know, to discuss it, city people or rural people, even if we're gonna talk about the school paying for it all.
Yeah.
You know.
We'll have to at least another committee meeting anyway before we get farther along with it, right?
Would probably be building fund dollars if you're gonna budget for it. And
Sure.
obviously, that's gonna be in the budget hearing in September, but, yeah, I think you'd wanna have more than just, that budget hearing in September to commit upwards of $250,000 to concrete.
Cause they were looking at not this coming summer, but a year from now.
Summer 25 is the hope. That would actually be in the next budget cycle.
Right.
So that's what we talked about there before the meeting.
Yeah, I don't know where, they might be able to push your first payment out though until,
25, 26.
yeah, by the time they got it done, I don't know how that would.
Mr. Rasmussen, in the interest of time, you certainly could table 12 and 13. If you're, just a suggestion.
Yeah.
That might be all right.
I think 17 and 18 would be better too.
I think going
That's not a good bargaining statement.
Yeah, let's put those off for this one.
She's going back.
Sorry.
We decided to table 12 and 13.
Yeah, I was here for that, so that sounds good.
We'll move on into the action items, starting at number 14, discuss and take possible action on accepting certified teacher resignations. Got the one from Mr. Juden in your packet there. Looks like you decided to take a job there in Wayne where he lives at.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Mr. Derek Jude. With regrets.
I'll second that.
Okay, then it's moved and seconded to accept Mr. Juden's resignation. Melissa? Yeah?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mike?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried, 6-0. Number 15, discuss and take possible action on approving 24-25 school calendar.
Why is it getting us?
Pretty comparable. We, as I mentioned every year, we start at state track. It is the bump back year for NSAA. So it always moves a day at a time, a day, and then every 6 years it bumps a whole week. And so state track for us is the 23rd, 24th of May in next year. So we start at state track and count back to find 185 contract days. It's pretty comparable. I had conversations, got some staff input. So this is reflective a little bit of some staff input. Due to the date that Christmas and New Year's is on, sometimes you have shorter semester breaks, sometimes you have longer ones. This will be a longer one. And as you count back, I need to have my first teacher contract day on August 7th, which means first day of school is on a Monday, which is not ideal, but it can be done. But we did put in 2 o'clock dismissals. That whole first week of school kind of gives you, a little bit of break rather than going 5 full days that first week is tough for kids too, especially younger ones. To get back into that routine. We didn't want to have a different calendar for elementary versus high school with regard to what kids can handle. Teachers are pretty resilient with regard to that too, but it takes a little bit of kind of getting back into that structure and that routine. So we thought 2 o'clock dismissals that first full week gives us some time to get expectations and routines established, but also done just a little bit earlier so teachers can have some time to kind of reflect adjustments. There's always many adjustments that happen that first week with kids and schedules and such. So there you go.
No, we talk about this every year, but is that the earliest we've ever started?
No. The 12th of August?
It seems early.
It just seems like it's earlier and
Seventh
earlier.
for the
every-
Yeah, it's been, I think we've had one on the 10th or 11th, but mid-August is pretty traditional. I mean, I did, consult with other superintendents in the last 6 weeks. Hey, do you have your calendars done? What are they looking like? When are you ending the Christmas break? When are you starting second semester? So we kind of compare 4 different dates. First day back, last day of first semester, first day of second semester, last day of the school year. Most of the conversations are the same. Teacher contract numbers are pretty much the same across the board. 185 is pretty standard. And again, we go by hours. We need 1,032 instructional hours for elementary, 1,080 for high school. We're well over that with the number of student days we have of 179. So Like every year, you know, we don't necessarily have to make up a snow day with regard to students. It's whether you think we need to make them up with regard to teacher contract days, so.
So in January, you have them coming back for what, 3 days, and then it's the end of the semester?
No, in January, teachers will come back on the 6th, students will start on the 7th.
Oh, just the
So,
teachers.
yeah. So the teachers will have 1 day back before students.
So semester still ends at Christmas break.
Semester still ends at Christmas break, yeah.
How do the teachers feel about this calendar? It just seems like the 7th
Yeah.
is awfully early.
Yeah, well,
I know
you know,
that
we,
you can
we,
only
we
do-
shared it with them, and,
Yeah.
we kinda explained too, we need 185 contract days, so
Yeah.
if you wanna start later, tell us where to find them. Should we put them at the end of May? Oh, no, 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 no.
No, I
Okay, should we have you come back on the 2nd of January, on a Thursday? Oh, no, 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 okay. Should we go till December 23rd? No, no, no.
I know, it's just, it's early, the 7th,
Yeah.
isn't it?
We even
Hands are
offered
tired.
taking, there's a day in April maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, like April 4th, because we have added that day in the second semester and they want that, just because the second semester is so long without break. So we posed all these different options that he's
Yeah, I'm
talking
sure
about.
you did. I know in a lot of ways your hands are tied.
Yeah, Christmas break, there's really no way.
Around it.
Unless
Christmas
you're
is
gonna
in the
come
middle of the week, you
No.
know.
No. I did not see that when it was first.
So
It's
let's
hard to
just
see.
take your AD report later, but you're gonna have a weekend there where all camps and all that stuff is off, so, you know, the weightlifting and all that, so people can have their vacations or
A
do.
week before Memorial Day and then the last week in July.
So you'll have 2 full weeks where there's
Yeah.
nothing.
And then what's dead week for the?
Moratorium,
Yeah.
it's the
22nd to 26th.
22nd through 26th.
So yeah, Mr. Schmidt and his coaches will have a summer schedule, which we know is brutal busy for kids, but they seem to be pretty resilient, and I think you could logically point to, okay, is it paying off, you know, those investments in summer? So we'll have 2 dead weeks this summer, 1 week right away and 1 week the end of July. And so our families will know that. Here's what my kid has for volleyball, basketball, weights, football. I mean, so the coaches will put all that together, but there'll be two dead weeks.
What does the summer look like? Is it pretty busy?
For everybody. Monday through Thursday is pretty well full every single day. Friday, you don't get many kids. You know, I always open it up Friday morning for kids that miss, and typically you just have kids that want to, or 1 or 2 kids that didn't miss, but normally it's pretty empty on that day. But Monday through Thursday is pretty well full. Volleyball will do league and 2 team camps, I think. Basketball's about the same for what they do on that, so.
And with junior high that lifts as well, we've got a significant number of kids, and so we've gotta have like 4 sessions of weights every day, Monday to Thursday, just so we don't have, we can't accommodate 40 kids in a weight room. So our coaches are pretty doggone busy, and once they come in for weights, you know, we tend to keep them there for skill work, either in volleyball or basketball, or open mats for wrestling. Yeah, we want our kids to play baseball, we want them to have a job, want them to have certainly family outings, but we're reasonable. So I mean, if a student, if they communicate, parents or kids, ideally kids, you know, and what their schedules are too, and where they have some limitations on attendance, we're pretty reasonable, I think.
I think we started 6:30 last year was our first group. Yeah, so they go 45 minutes, they'll lift for 45, they do speed and agility for 15, and then that's a full hour. And typically on most days, that's all they do, and if they do an open gym or something, it's another half hour with it. So
if they have a job or something, can they kind of, you can
We
work
have a
with
lot of
them.
kids that say, I gotta be to work by 8, and I say, okay, sign up for the morning time.
No matter what age they are.
So,
Yeah, make them do it all at once, probably helps, you know, so somebody's gonna have to come in a couple times a day. Yeah. Offer. Okay, well, any other questions on that, we make a motion to approve the academic calendar for next year.
I'll make a motion to approve the academic calendar for the 24-25 school year as presented.
I'll second.
Moving second is accept the calendar for 24-25. Myself, yes. Mike?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Melissa? Deb?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Motion passed, 6-0. Number 16, discuss state possible action on approving certified teacher FTE totals for 24-25.
No recommendations for any change. Mr. Rasmussen has a copy of all the renewal, teacher renewal contracts, so the Friday is the first day we can expect teachers to commit for the next school year, and so we will do that. And then if any teacher asks to be released after Friday, that'll be a board decision on whether you want to release them.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve 34 full-time equivalent certified teaching contracts for the 24-25 school year.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded then to accept 34 full-time equivalent teacher contracts for 24-25. Wyatt?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Melissa? Chance?
Yep.
Mike?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carried 6-0. Okay, we'll move on to number 17. Discuss state possible action on the contract terms for Mrs. Hodson for the 24 school year.
When I was debating what to ask for, I looked a lot at the years of experience that I've given Plainview Public Schools, and also kind of compared myself to other colleagues and the amount of students that they have. And the most comparison, the one school that I felt was comparable to me the most was Bloomfield. And so then I kind of split the difference from what they are making versus what I am making. And so that's why I came up with a $5,000 increase in my wage.
I was just looking back at some of the other towns, what they've done the last couple of years. And Bloomfield was an $8,000 raise last year. Most were 3 to 4. That range, I guess. I know, how many, is this your third or fourth year?
I'll be going on my 4th.
This will be your fourth. And it was 2 years ago that you guys were applying.
Yes, we didn't have this. What's,
Correct. Okay.
Yes.
what's the percentage?
It's almost 6%.
We gave her 6% last year, she's asking for 6 in the future. Rough.
Correct.
If you average it out over 3 years, that's a 4.2% increase.
Remind me, what did we give the staff in the negotiations? What was the
3.
Just over
Was it 3?
And then that.
A little over 3, wasn't it?
It was 3 and then that retirement.
In addition to that.
The IRA contribution.
Which was $15 per month.
And includes does that include our administrators? Or does it,
For the retirement,
Yeah,
no, I was just
just the
certified.
staff.
Just certified, I was in class.
Okay. That's right.
About $10 for your retirement for.
I'm pretty ambitious about that personally, so.
Good for you.
Last year I asked you both about your goals.
Mhm.
How do you feel? Have you done well in that? Are you happy with it?
Yes, and I think I'm very self-motivated on just providing opportunities and experiences for students outside of the school walls. So I think just my involvement within the community or within extracurricular activities is going above and beyond as well. Say that again?
Have you set your goals?
Well, I'm always thinking, what can we do next? And you guys are talking about your concerns with the 1920s building. Kyle and I have had a handful of conversations about what we see Plainview Public Schools looking like in 10 years. And that's a concern, and even on our radar, about what are we going to do next. So that is something that I find more desire and ambition to help attract people to Plainview Public Schools.
Personally, I kinda like having everybody kinda get not averaged out, but where they need to be, and then everybody gets the same pay raise every year, so it's not, this year I get that, they get this, and they're all over the board. I kinda like to get, like we adjusted yours
Yep.
to get you caught up. And I think what I like to do is get everybody to that point, we did that with classified staff too here a couple years ago. And then just get to where, okay, everybody gets the same percentage raise, that way, otherwise you say, well, they got this, and we didn't get that, and they got this, and that kind of thing. So that's what I, kind of, my opinion, where I'd like to be on this. That way it's just kind of across the board, everybody gets the same raise, and that's what it is. And I understand at times there has to be adjustments made, but,
Like I say, anytime we go into these kind of discussions, there's a bit of negotiation. I guess it's a little maybe on the high side for me, compared to, what others in the area are getting. I understand it's definitely been an interesting year.
Mhm.
Last summer, you dealt with a lot. With the roof coming off and all that, so.
I think another reason why I propose that figure is I would just like to see myself in the middle of the group as well, and then once I am to that point, then I won't be as ambitious with what I'm requesting.
I did that averages, and it looks like the average salary was $94.90. Does that sound right to you?
And so even with this
So you'd be
increase, I
asking
wouldn't
90.
be there, yeah.
so on here for you, Plainview, it says 20 years of experience, 22 years in education. Aren't most of those numbers their years as a principal, as far as the experience goes? Isn't that what that number is?
No, that's how many years you've been in the district or how many years you've been in education.
Total?
Total.
Well, the first column is that.
The second one
Second
is-
column is
That's how
How many
experience.
has been in
She's been in
Plainview?
Plainview for 20 years.
No,
Include
20
that
years.
with the teaching or
Now that you put it that way. All right.
So those numbers then don't reflect how long they've been a principal or a superintendent or whatever, it's just how many years they've been at that school.
Correct.
I will say, in the last year, I've heard a lot from your staff, and your staff loves you. You take very good care of your staff. Thank you for that.
Yes. That's a priority to me too.
Well, I see Jen here a lot of hours when I drive by, and I think about how much she had to do last summer above and beyond a lot of administrators would have done. I really appreciate all of your extra efforts and what you put it into the school. I agree. Staff, I hear nothing but great things from you, about you. And I don't think she's being unreasonable if we just, because she's not even asking for what the average is. And with her years of experience and the years that she has served our school, not just as a principal, but as a teacher, a coach. So I don't think she's being unreasonable. And I also take into account that they both asked for no raise a few years ago, so it could go to the classified.
Yeah, if you feel that it gets you up to where you wanna be, I guess I'd expect maybe going forward, maybe don't ask for, you know, as much, I guess I'd be okay with that.
That's been my mindset from the very beginning, is just to kind of get in the average range of the rest of my colleagues, and
She's not even asking for top average, really.
What are some of the things that such a big discrepancy in the benefits? Well, I would assume all superintendents would take, well, you maybe don't even take insurance, I guess, I don't know. But they go from 24,000 benefits all the way up to 50,000 benefits.
$16,000.
Oh, yeah.
Most are that, but,
That's a big difference. So what are your added, the 4,600 in your added compensation, you know, if that consists of?
Coaching.
cross country.
Oh.
When I look at Laurel, 90, and I know this is her first year as a principal, and she hasn't been in, I know her personally, in education, only 8 years total. Compare that down the road. No, I did that wrong. She's 85, I'm sorry.
She went 3 to 4th, too.
Yes,
It is.
yes, because they have a middle school principal over in Coleridge.
That'll probably change.
So that's not even as many classrooms. Hundred kids left.
I'll make a motion that we approve a contract terms for Mrs. Hodson for the 24-25 school year as presented.
Put a figure in there. Cheers.
I thought it was presented at 90, wasn't it?
yep.
Second on that.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded then to accept this approved contract terms for Mrs. Hodson for 24-25 school year at a salary of $90,000. Self, yes. Mike?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion approved 6-0.
Thank you.
We'll move on then to number 18, discuss take possible action on the contract terms for Mr. Kyle Schmidt
So you're asking for 3,000, so you want to go to 95, 98.
Yep.
And then the added compensation, that's gonna be AD and head football and, senior class sponsor. Those three things make up that amount.
I had, that's what you asked for last year, was around 3%. See now, if you take into account, you know, the 3 years, the final 3 years, it's about a 2.2 average salary.
And with the current economy, you're actually going backwards.
So do you have it, is that in the packet that you were asking for, actually?
It's
Yeah,
3,000.
Oh,
fine
right,
print
yeah,
on
there,
the
fine
bottom.
print, okay, yeah. I'm looking for the big bold print.
Do you have goals?
A lot of goals. You know, Jen and I have talked a lot, I think we're both in this for the long haul, what we want this place to look like. Obviously, we want it to grow, gain population, become one of the more dominant schools in the area. And that's what we both work for, so. I felt Jen's underpaid, so I'm glad she got the raise she deserves, so. I'm fine taking less, just so she can get caught up with her colleagues, cause I feel like I'm a little bit closer to the middle of my colleagues than what she is, so.
Or are you playing the long game so you can stick it to us in a year or two?
10 years, I'll come back to you, Chance.
Okay.
Can you remind us how the AD head football and senior class sponsors compensations are broken out?
It's 8,000 for AD, and then I believe it's 4,900 for football, maybe it's 5,000. And then class sponsor, I think, is 1,000, maybe is that much.
Okay. All right, close enough,
I
thank
don't
you.
think so.
Senior,
500 maybe.
senior class sponsor.
Well, it's right in line with every other raise we've given out. Anyway, I have no problem with it.
Further discussion?
I'll make a motion that we approve contract terms for Mr. Schmidt for the 24-25 school year as presented, or give him a $3,000 raise.
I'll second it.
Moving second, and then approved contract terms for Mr. Schmidt for 24-25, salary of
98.
98,000. Melissa? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mike?
Yes.
Yes.
Bruce says no. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to TV director's report. We're busy.
Yeah, had a fun month for January.
You don't know where you're at, do you?
I don't. Girls basketball, obviously, district champions, 6th seed at state. Boys were district champions, 6th seed, finished 4th place and brought home a trophy, so all exciting. Boys wrestling were district runner-ups and finished 6th at state. Speech was conference runner-up and go to districts tomorrow. So I was looking at it outside of, I think, 3 things that we offer. We've been district champions or runner-up in everything that we do. So we've had a very successful activity season. Spring sports are underway, but both track teams, I think we have between 40 and 50 kids out for girls and boys track. That's not for each one, that's total. And then golf has about 10 kids out. And then the 2 other things to bring up that I forgot to put on there, shot clocks, those will get voted on in April. It's looking like the state's going to pass for the entire state. All classes have to have shot clocks going into next basketball season, so that'll be an expense that we'll have to make here coming up. And then our new conference, it's looking like we're going to fast forward that and start this coming year now. So we're actually today looking at finalizing a name for the conference, and we're finalizing writing some bylaws and constitution to meet with the other 7 schools and sit together and finalize all of that information as well. So.
So you think all 8 schools are gonna join next year, or it's gonna be a 1 year of short teams?
Right now, we're looking at all 8 joining.
They're all gonna be able to get out of their contracts?
Yep. So it is Hardington, Newcastle, Laurel, Lutheran High, us, Elkhorn Valley, Neely, Oakdale, Summerlin, and Westwood. The other schools. It is between the Big 8, the Corn Belt, and the Greater Northeast Conference. Those are the 3 names they have right now.
I go for anything but the Corn Belt.
Don't want an angry corn cob coming out of a cornfield.
Congratulations to all the teams.
Yeah.
Heck of a run here, so.
Kids are doing well.
We have to adjust the budget for all that. How we get down by the end
Yes.
of the year.
The contribution from general fund to activities next year will account for state spending a lot of time in Lincoln. If we don't need it, we don't need it, but if we do, we're prepared and we're fine. I mean, it takes a little investment, not just in student and coaches' time, but also in budget to participate at that level.
So hope we still have quite a few go to Kearney and quite a few go back to Omaha.
There is no help from the state on the shot clock. It's all in the school. Yep. Do you have any idea how much that's gonna
I have, whoa.
We don't hear it, no, we don't wanna hear it today.
Between 15 and 18,000.
Yikes.
2 clocks on each end of the
I
back.
can make that up.
Man.
But these are from the company that we
From the
have our
company
clocks
that
with.
runs our scoreboard, so
It all
they
has
all
to-
tie together and everything works as one. So,
Does that get our buzzer light back on there in school?
that's new lights and everything with that.
Didn't somebody jack that up knowing what it was gonna pass? Could've got it last year for 5,000.
All right, well, thanks, Mr. Schmidt.
Yep.
We want a principal's report at number 20.
Do you have any questions on anything you see?
It's a lot to do with.
Playground equipment.
Yes, I emailed today, have not heard from him.
They can't have an excuse if it's ground's froze or anything like that.
I talked to the installers probably a good month ago, giving them everything they wanted to put us on their calendar this spring. So I've done all that. I just have not
I
been
think they
given a
should give
date.
us like a musical area that I saw on some of those playgrounds as a, sorry it took us so long. We need barter for more stuff.
Some of these kids are gonna be graduated, that donate.
I know.
Before they ever get it done.
It's been a nice month, they could've.
Yeah, they gotta be working somewhere.
Maybe they can't.
I know
find
she
help.
ran from Dr. All at the state school board.
It all helped if they
She
say
did.
it.
So
It's
she
only
saw him,
taking
she's
a
like,
day.
no!
She used to chase me down.
Now
I
she's
go
running
to-
from
I got
him.
it.
I was not happy with her.
We should set it up all last minute, so when they come, we gotta take it all apart again and start over.
Are you guys seeing test scores going back up after COVID? Like, are things coming back to normal?
Yeah, I think consistency in what we're doing in the classroom helps a lot too. I mean, for a while, we were trying to navigate our new reading curriculum. So once we've kind of weathered that storm and feel better about what we're doing with that, that has helped a lot. And even this, yes, and even the same thing with our math curriculum. So this is the first year of us truly utilizing it in every classroom, so that's helped make teachers feel more confident in what they're doing and being able to spend more time on.
I like this one. So I have kids do it the old way, and
Uh-huh.
kids make it this way, and I like this way.
Okay, good, that's great to hear.
So I feel like things are getting back to.
Yes, I do, and I think the amount of time that we're putting into science, right now piloting science, just goes to show how important it is to the teachers to make sure that it is the best fit for us and being able to meet standards and everything else that we need to do with it. So the amount of time that we put into that the last few years, I think has reaped benefits.
Because in our building, we've been 9-12 brand new resources for math, science, English. You guys have all purchased, so, in junior high, we just have science to finish up 4 new ones, so, yeah, there was a little jump last year, but kind of excited to see how we do this spring, which juniors take the ACT 2 weeks from tomorrow, so that's our first testing date.
You had to know that you piloted it different for elementary science. When did you do that one that they didn't really care for?
That was January through March.
That was January through March.
And now we're trying
Now
another
you're trying
company, March through May.
Okay. So far, so good with that one.
We are just getting our feet wet with it, but just our initial Zoom meeting with the salesperson went over much better than that same conversation with the other company.
Was that one of the areas of the scores that were lower, was the science for the elementary maps testing, if I remember right, or was it?
Sure, it seems like it's always low. I mean, science is a hard one. But I will tell you, even when I was a teacher here, and I was here with the science curriculum we have now, it was very hard for me to do a sufficient job just because there's lots of gaps. I felt like it didn't really push us to the level that we needed to be pushed with the expectations in that curriculum. So that's why we're all about, we gotta make this a higher level thinking style curriculum.
So you do jump from one pilot to another, do you get a lot of like gaps or double up on stuff, or is it hard to do one and jump into another one, the kids don't get lost?
That is a challenge, but teachers have kind of picked standards that they know are a little easier for them to grasp when it's not what they normally would do. And right now, a lot of your teachers are supplementing so many things with science that they're still using those in some fashion.
Pick up their own curriculum?
Uh-huh.
That's what all of our classes have their own curriculum, K-12. 2 years ago we did that, or 3 years ago. We went through and wrote all the curriculum K-12, so that way teachers aren't really just teaching the book to the kid. They're just pulling the pieces out, so really you shouldn't see that issue with the pilot going on, because they follow what they've done ahead of time.
And a lot of the teachers have requested, this is what I know is coming, so that's what I'm going to use the pilot for specifically. So I even requested certain standard content material for that reason.
So when you write this curriculum that you're talking about, is that just between you guys and the teachers that you sit down and write this curriculum, or does it come from state standards or something that you go base it off of?
Yep.
So we have our teachers sit down, our core teachers for math, science, English, they all sit down, and then we put elementary teachers in the group as well. They take the state standards, make sure that what we're teaching matches that, and every time they rewrite the state, we revisit it and make sure we're still hitting all of them, so we don't have any gaps.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Move on to 21, President's Report. Just wanted to say thanks to everybody who put their name in for the school board again. Looks like we've got a few other candidates too, so appreciate those people being willing to serve. The board retreat that I talked about last month, and I think we're gonna maybe try and put that off till maybe this summer. Coordinate it with maybe our budget workshop. We thought that might be a better time to kind of get everything back to normal.
We can have at your house, girl sticks.
It's a possibility, yeah. So, we'll put that on hold for now. Dr. White, you want to talk about Dr. Ernst at all, or now, or your reporter doesn't?
No, let's do it at the end and closed.
Okay. I don't really have anything else on the.
Okay, so legislative update, starting to get a better idea about what's coming out of committee, potentially in the unicameral, and it's not so much the things coming out of education committee, it's coming out of revenue committee, so I have, we're watching a little more closely. what may happen with regard to budget authority. We know the governor has been quite vocal in 40% reduction of property taxes. That's fine, but that sends significant concern through superintendents of school districts that are highly reliant on property taxes for funding school districts, so, because they won't necessarily backfill that 40%. So, and a 40% reduction in property tax doesn't automatically mean a 40% reduction in our potential revenue, but it's enough to cause worry on what we might have to deal with this next budget cycle. So, I mean, I think it puts us in and we'll know by the time we have budget retreat this summer, as unicameral will be done, so we'll know what how the formula will affect us. So, you know, one example, you know, we know last year we got $1,500 per student foundation aid. We're still anticipating that, and that's reflected in that state aid number that you see, you know, a nominal increase from the previous year. And also the 80% SPED reimbursement rate, so about double, but so we doubled our special education reimbursement, but they found a way also to restrict our budget authority on the other end. So it wasn't like, oh, we get a whole bunch more money back, that will be good. Oh, but they minimized this other area, so it wasn't necessarily going to be, oh, this is just all new gravy. So there's just a lot of indecision, a lot of concern. The state met with finance directors at the Department of Ed last month just to try to keep us ahead of things as much as we can in anticipation of what to be prepared for. But the only thing we can be prepared for is to probably be caught off guard in what we can do. So it's not gonna, I don't think necessarily gonna be something that's gonna affect us in a way where we're locked into some personnel issues that we're not gonna be able to manage. It'll probably be building fund authority, because we have total levying authority. The building fund, you have quite a little bit more play with. So it might affect, for example, a $250,000 concrete project. But I'll keep you posted on that. Next month, I'll know even more on what is possible coming out of education, and also one of the things is a Parents' Bill of Rights, which has become very popular since we saw the Virginia gubernatorial race several years ago. So that's swept across the country. It's really, to a great extent, a non-issue in Nebraska, because you know, parents can come in and see any kind of curricular materials or library books at any time. I don't think we've ever had much, if any, requests for that, right, Mrs. Yoke? For parents that want to see what books we have on our shelves, for example. But one of the things that's in this bill is that parents can opt their child out of certain curricular assignments or testing. That has great concern, because we will most certainly have a variety of parents that will tell the school, you can't, my kid can't do this assignment, my kid can't do this project, my kid, I don't want them to do this particular testing. That would cause significant difficulties in school if we had that. We don't know if that's necessary. Sometimes things come from out of state, or they come from Omaha or Lincoln, and they touch us here when the unicameral takes up the whole thing. So that one's, you know, would be problematic potentially. So we're watching that one kind of close, and then a few other ones that aren't going to be too dramatic.
That doesn't change the graduation requirements. You can't opt your kids out of something that we require.
Yeah, so we would have to, that's an excellent question. So I'm gonna opt my kid out of this activity project assignment. They couldn't opt them out of math per se, but likely it would hit areas of social studies or maybe science more than it would something like math. But that's the concern is, well, what if a parent opts their kid out of a variety of things? What does that do to graduation requirements? So yes, that's the big concern at the local level, is how far that Parents' Bill of Rights how far that could go, and how we would be able to respond to that. Received a call from the superintendent at Osmond. He said he had to ask if Plainview Public Schools be interested in a basketball co-op with Osmond. They won't be able to field a boys team almost for sure. Randolph, the co-op they had with Randolph said no, Wausau said no. They thought they had to ask. I said I won't speak for the board, but I'll gauge them as I bring it up. Of course, it would move us up a class. And he says, he said, I know essentially, Dr. All, I think what the answer is, but I said, well, I'm not gonna speak for the board, but it will probably be no. We're probably not interested in a co-op for basketball with Osmond for just a couple of years. They'll be able to put a girls team together and maybe a JV boys team. So they're really in a tough spot right now, that, you know, a lot of school districts just have to grow through and figure out. So I think it was reasonable for them to ask, leave no stone unturned. I said I would bring it to you. I can put it on as an agenda item next month if you would like to have an official conversation and a vote. Mr. Schmidt would be able to prepare statistics, numbers, what it would look like for classification. But it would almost certainly, and maybe Mr. Schmidt has already done that, it would probably move both our basketball programs into Class C.
Are the boys going up? Are they staying the same next year, right now?
It's
Right,
close.
well, anyway, so if we
Boys are on
did
the
this, it
bubble.
might not make a difference. Or would it move us up another class?
No.
Okay.
Well, I think the first conversation that needs to be had is the basketball coaches themselves. They even want to have that conversation occur in the boardroom. And then if they want to have it, they can express that to Mr. Schmidt, and Mr. Schmidt can prepare something. But I think their blessing needs to come before ours. That would have to occur.
Well, it's funny how this is just 180, because when we went and talked to them, they were sitting there with state mountain teams, that didn't want to do anything, and they were struggling to get a team, and now it's just the opposite. You know, they turned us down without blinking an eye when we went and talked to them, because they didn't want to mess with their teams that they had at the time, which is understandable. And now it's just 180 degrees, and they're looking down the other end of the barrel.
So I would, myself, my opinion is, I would encourage them to take that to Mr. Simpson and let him think about it. Then you can talk to Mr. Schmidt, and then you guys can bring it back to us if there's any interest.
They do have enough for a girls team.
Yep.
And it's just basketball that they're worried about.
I feel like we'd be better informed by going through that avenue, because
I don't wanna vote on something without.
yes,
Simpson's blessing.
I need to be.
Their kids interested in football will be Wausau Vikings.
So
it's not a
Wausau
co-op.
took them for.
Well, yes, Wausau took them for football.
Yeah, why wouldn't they take them for basketball?
Because it would change your classification. They're probably still 8-man in football.
I see.
And Wausau will get 2,
There's a
3,
lot
4
to it.
kids.
I
Doesn't
know.
matter. They're gonna wear the Wausau colors and the Wausau jersey. So
this
yeah,
is
every sport, it does complicate things. You don't have a full sports, when you don't have a full sports co-op.
Right. And if it's a co-op, then we have to come up with another name.
Yeah.
And jerseys for
Traditionally,
that one
typically
sport.
you do.
Can they just come join us for 2 years? If they're only looking at 2 years,
Yeah.
and they just send their kids here for 2 years and play for Plainview.
They could, but we would move the classification.
Right,
Right.
but we wouldn't have to do the jerseys and all that
No,
stuff.
you'd be in a position to say, we'll co-op, here are the rules. You'll be Plainview Pirates, we're not gonna, because there's a lot of OR Hawk gear out there.
Right, that's what I'm getting.
That doesn't survive on the shelf very well. But so it's a really tough set of circumstances. I think you make a good point though, Mr. Sauer, these pendulums swing. Now, we don't anticipate our pendulum swinging to where we're gonna need help in the next, even in the near future. But I think it's important for us to be gracious and to, yes, ask our coaches and then bring it back to you, and I'll visit with Mr. Rasmussen on whether it needs to be an actual action item next month. But in the meantime, you might reach out to the board member at Osmond and.
So what's the time frame on when we'll find out whether we move or not versus when we have to decide with Osmond? Is there a
It's in the
gap
fall
in between there that we would have to
classifications.
be able to make up our mind?
Co-op is October 1st. I have on a
Yeah.
sticky note on my computer.
But every AD, including Mr. Schmidt, is able to project what the classifications will be even before you get to the co-op deadline.
But if
And
you're
they
not
know the
bored,
chatter
you
of
know.
conversations that are going among schools. And so they have, okay, it's gonna be A, B, or C. You know, if these schools come together, it's gonna be this, and we're gonna be bubble for boys. The girls will move up to D1. So the girls are going up to D1. It's whether the boys go from D1 to C2, and we were C2 last year, 2 years ago. So we've been there before, and they'll be real close. That large freshman class will be part of 2 different enrollment counts for football. Right. Speaking of Osmond as well, and you know, I asked Mr. Schmidt to look into this. Our bowling circumstance is not great because we've got lanes issues, and so I've asked him to maybe reach out. He's done it before, and they've said no, thank you, and maybe their tune will change on a potential co-op for bowling, and where we would use the Osmond lanes. I'm not real eager to not co-op with Osmond yet use their lanes. So I'd certainly like to share some expense. If we're gonna go over there, let's see if they've got some kids. They don't have a bowling program at all right now, from what I understand. They do unified, yeah. So that's just another issue, or concern or question we're just thinking moving forward. Phase 2 of our roof project is scheduled to start May 20. So that's right after school gets out. I talked to the general contractor today, and also Volkman's, who will be doing the kitchen project. So everything is still on schedule. It's been a couple of months since we've been in touch. Did obviously a lot of planning and preparation last summer and into the fall. So we're scheduled. Everything's ready to go. And Mrs. Hodson will have to address a few issues with regard to summer school. She'll make those adjustments, so it won't affect us. This section will be a lot easier than the previous section because they'll be able to manage the tear off a little better than Mother Nature did on the previous one. So everything is ready to go with that. Been in touch with insurance, so we're in good shape.
How about the HVAC deal for this building? Isn't that the one that had issues with snow blowing into it last winter?
Yep. So the units that were put kind of tucked back in that corner, which nobody ever sees, so they've been there for 3 or 4, going on 4+ years now. So after the first winter, we realized, oh, that's an area that just really whips around with wind, and then in the winter, potentially blizzard. So we put a fence up that helped a little bit. We put these little warmers inside the panels, but that blizzard was pretty brutal in January, and it did damage those units, and so we've got some expense on those. The total was about $3 and some to repair those. Those manage the cassette units that are in the roof of all the classrooms and only in one half of the building. So there was about a week of time in that first week back where the building in the one wing was heated only by the general purpose heaters, which struggled to keep some classrooms above 65, and they were below 60 a couple of mornings, so kind of rough. So we're taking care of that, and we're going to look at potentially building just a completely self-enclosed structure with a heater that would have some ventilation in it. Because those units, that's where those units are, and on any given blizzard, we could, as we learned, we could have some problems with that. So we'll be kind of having some of those conversations. It shouldn't be an incredibly significant expense, but it'll always be a little more than we maybe think it should be. But we've got to protect those units a little bit better. Okay, that's all I have.
Were they seeing that problem with other places? As ever say, or is
It just depends on where the unit is located and its exposure to the elements. Most of the time they're on the roof, right? And so, but here it's stuck in a corner, and so it really, in the snow and ice really encased the interior of those units and did some damage.
As I mentioned, you got our email to you guys in the last couple of weeks. You know, part of our agreement with Dr. Rose that he had was to look up have a meeting or some counseling with someone, you know, regarding comments that we made. So then I kind of sent you guys an update on what we've done. If you have any questions questions or anything for him, or you'd like to say a few words about how it went?
Yeah, I'd like to do some close session.
Oh. Sorry, I know you said it.
Sorry.
That's my fault.
No.
So, if you would like to do that in closed session. Motion. I can make that motion, so I have it here in front of me. I'll make a motion, we enter closed session for purposes of evaluation of job performance of a person when necessary to prevent needless injury to the reputation of the person, and if such person has not requested a public meeting. Do I have a second? Thank you. Second, we go into closed session. Chance?
Yeah.
Mike?
Yes.
Myself, yes, Wyatt?
Yeah.
Deb?
Yes.
Can we do that here?